Recorded. I guess it never happened. I'm just going to have to keep doing them that awesome. Good morning, everybody. How are you?
Very good.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Nick Reagan. Good morning, Jane. Good morning, Anthony and Randy. So many familiar faces hopping on this morning. We'll give everybody just another minute. That participants room is getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Good morning from Greater Hartford.
Good morning, come on. Girl, I gotta tell you, after yesterday's session, I went into a cash box, like research craziness. I found so much information. That thing blew my mind yesterday. So
It's I love the cash talk. It's like gold, and I think that it gets easily forgotten.
it's so true, so true. So I found all these like research papers about it, and that's where I was like, I gotta stop looking at these. I'm gonna get into a spiral of nerdiness and just keep reading these. It was so good. So if you guys haven't Googled that cash box with a K, make sure you do that and read up on that. That was interesting stuff. So thank you. Thank you. All right, guys. Today we have Tiffany Hampton with us, and we are doing Net a Million leads, listings, and leverage. And this was page 217 to 249. I'm going to spotlight Tiffany for us, and I'll let her introduce herself. Let's spotlight you. There you are, my friend.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm so happy to see you again today.
I know. I feel like we see each other daily.
I love it. I'm okay with this. All right. Well, why don't you take it away? Introduce yourself and let's jump right in.
Awesome. So my name is Tiffany Hampton. I am in Keller Williams, Greater Portland, the main market center. I've been in real estate for 22 years, in leadership since 2013. And I think I actually absolutely love this topic, because this topic is you're working in your business now, and you need to plan for the future. So we get to talk about planning for what the future millionaire net agent looks like. So I am going to share my screen. This is always the complicated part. Does it work?
Okay. It works.
There we go. Go into slideshow mode. All right. So we are talking about, so far you've talked about think like a millionaire real estate agent. You've talked about earn like a millionaire real estate agent. And now we're going to talk about what does it look like to net $1 million in your real estate business. So starts off with all things are difficult before they are easy, right? And this is so true, because you don't know what you don't know until you know it. And there's a lot of difficulty in that. And then let's just come up with, like, when you think of big success, what thoughts and emotions come up? And this is the participatory part. So when you think of success, what are your thoughts and what are your emotions?
You're allowed to come off mute.
Maintaining. Hi, Tiff, it's Callie.
Hey, how are you? So maintaining.
Yeah, like maintaining that elevated, or that success, or mapping which direction I'm going.
Absolutely.
So maintaining.
Karina, what was your response?
My response was, to be able to have my husband retire and become my admin.
Okay.
That's a big one for me.
Okay. Anthony, what are your thoughts?
I don't know. Success is a tough one. I'd say in this context of just like real estate or whatever, you just say, be able to help other people and all that kind of stuff, not have to be stressed out, kind of be, have a lot of clients, but not be, breaking down every day because you can't handle your workload kind of thing.
Absolutely.
But,
where do I start?
Come on, what were you going to say?
When I think of more big success, I think of more passive income than, I would say, maybe income that I have to hustle for.
Absolutely. And as we move forward in this series, that question is going to be absolutely answered. And Davian, to your point, where do you start? We're going to talk about that a lot today. Anyone else have any other thoughts?
I would say, as far as emotions go, being kind of scared to death.
Yep.
You know, as far as time and management and people, and it's kind of it's still scary.
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
then
I love that. Can I afford to fail? And how big can I afford to fail at this age of my life, point of my life? Those are the emotions that come up.
I would almost ask, can you afford not to fail?
Oh yeah, that's the thought that goes into it. The initial emotion though is definitely that one of fear, and that's why we love our environment and the MAPS coaches that we have in our life, because it helps.
Absolutely.
They help to put us back on track.
And very much to that point, what goes through your head when you think of the obstacles and the challenges you're going to encounter? Like, what are you thinking when you know that these are obstacles and challenges, you're going to encounter them? How do you handle that?
Usually learn from the previous mistakes and try to, for me, I'm the one who went through the immigration. So you just start every day as a new. It doesn't matter what was yesterday. Today is a new day and I will succeed.
Absolutely.
That is make you move forward.
100%. Anything else want to share what goes through their head? Come on.
I think of who has done it before, so I don't have to reinvent the wheel or maybe fail as hard as if I am, who has done it before me so I can map.
100%. I agree. So today we're going to talk about the first 3 of the 5 fundamentals to netting $1 million, right? So those are the 3 L's. And then on Monday, we're going to talk about the second 2. So the first one is leads, right? And this, we all know these. What's the next one? If we have leads, what's the next item?
Listings.
Yep.
Leverage, listings and leverage.
Leverage is the third, right?
Okay.
Now, when you look at these, there's actually 13 issues that will challenge us as we go through this journey. And we're going to touch base on every one of these 13 issues and turn them from issues to solutions, okay? So the first one is under leads, and this is the one that, and I will be honest, we all suffer for this. I don't care what role you are in, Keller Williams. I run the productivity coaching program, and I constantly need to fill my roster of coaching clients. So I am constantly lead generating, right? So we need to sustain a solid lead generation program that emphasizes marketing and consistently increases the number of people in your database and in your leads. So what does that look like? Let's just start with where are the challenges, right? What's our challenge with lead generation?
Time blocking.
Time blocking.
Lead generating on a schedule.
Right.
Yeah, that is the most like you do. I do it every day, but it's not like a real schedule.
Right. So how many of us, and we can all raise our, how many of us, if we need to service a client or take care of something else, we move from lead generation to take care of that item, right?
Yeah.
We're all guilty.
Okay.
So our biggest challenge is the minute we start getting busy, we go into service mode and we stop servicing the lead generation and we service the client. And then what does that cause?
Losing the future business.
Right. We kind of live on a roller coaster, right? How many times
Yes.
have we lead generated tons of business? Oh no, now we're servicing, we're going down again. Now we have to lead generate again, right? It's like a shark. A shark constantly needs to swim because if they stop swimming, what happens to a shark?
Die.
Right, because they drown.
I always wonder this, if fish stop swimming, what happens?
Well,
Do
with
they-
sharks,
do
they
they-
drown.
They do, sharks drown if they stop
Yeah, I
swimming?
don't know about the rest of them. I just know about that because it was in the book.
What are they, just, like all sink at night and then they go back up in the morning and go around, and I always wonder that. I'm like, what
Yeah.
happens to them?
So millionaire agents, they never lose focus on what?
The prize, the listings,
Right. And how do they get to the prize?
lead generating.
Correct. So as we're starting to look at, okay, we're looking to net $1 million. We have our team in place. We move from prospecting on a high level to marketing, right? And what does that look like? Do we market to everyone in the world, or do we do specific driven marketing to a specific demographic that we have? And if that's the case, what is that demographic? Who do we market to?
Can you talk?
The buyers and sellers probably in the age range of 18 to 65.
Absolutely. And then our database, right? Who's in our database? When we look at like working the GPS, there's 3. We have our database, we have the now business. And what does the now business serve? The now business fills your database and gets you immediate business, right? Because we have to be constantly driving people into our database. So it's really important that we market to our database so that they don't forget us. Back in the day when I was learning real estate, they used to say every 11 days, your database forgets you and that you're in real estate, unless they're the A group that knows you, likes you, and knows how to refer you, right? And how do we get there? By constantly staying in front of them. And that's how, you know, the 36 touch, all the different programs that we put into place, that's how it's really come into play. Our second issue that we're facing is tracking and converting the leads through others. Is another be honest moment. How many of us have sticky notes all over our desks or all over everywhere that, or in a business card on the floor of their car with somebody that they met, right? So we need to track our leads and we need to convert our leads. And Brooke, where's a great place to do that?
Command.
Where is it?
Command. Command.
So essentially, we track and we convert our leads through command. We follow up after they're generated. We turn them into appointments, which turns them into under contracts, which turns them into closings. And then they go back into a smart plan. So now they're a referral base. And when they're thinking of buying or selling again, who do they not forget? Us. Right.
Mhm.
What's the one thing that we can do to get better at tracking and converting our leads? Anybody?
Put our numbers into command.
Yep.
Track our calls and notes and Popeyes and stuff.
The job description of a real estate agent, 5 things: lead generate, lead follow up, go on appointments, negotiate. What's that 5th one?
Close.
Role play.
Davian, I heard you. Role play, script, role play, educate, and hone in on your skills. So skills come with time, right? What's the benefit of being with us at Keller Williams is there's many of us that have come before you. So you get to learn and experience and get the enthusiasm from the market centers, right? So if you're a brand new agent, or if you're an agent that's looking to bring the net $1 million and you have someone in your market center that is actually accomplishing it, or not even in your market center, in Keller Williams as a whole, who should you be reaching out to? Like, who should you be learning from? Who should you be shadowing? You know, the other part of it is as you move from individual to team, because netting $1 million, you will have a team in place. Is what you're doing duplicatable? Do you have systems in place? When you have systems in place, that helps you get to where you are. Do you have standards? And we're going to talk standards a little bit later, but you know, what are the standards? How are you going to deliver service? Because what are your clients' requirements of standards? Because we can have a one and done, right? We can do one transaction and be done, or we can deliver standards to the level that the client desires so that they don't think of anyone else but you when they think of real estate. You know, then you're gonna protect your lead generation focus time. What does that look like? How do you protect your lead generation focus time?
Put it on your schedule.
Yep.
I think be real with the distractions that may come up.
Right.
Turn off the phone.
Right.
Turn off the TV.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't check emails.
Turn off social media.
Absolutely.
Hey, Brooke, what's a really great part of Command that keeps us out of social media, but yet we still deliver value to social media?
Oh my goodness. There's a couple things. So you can schedule all your social posts to go out from Command so that you are not playing on social media. And one of the perks of your client where you're putting all your info in is that there's a link for social media. So you are clicking that link, you are typing what you need to type or sending the message you need to send, and then you are not watching dog videos. You are not looking through memes or seeing what your sister did this weekend. You are exiting out and you are going back to Command and doing your lead gen.
Yep. So when you look at this, obviously you're not going to be able to do this alone. So you're starting to build the system in the process of, how do I protect my lead generation time? How do I protect my tracking and converting so that it's done correctly? Because then I'm going to have to hire and bring people on that are able to duplicate what I'm doing in their area of expertise, right? So when we look at the leads, you have to weigh your options, right? Any form of marketing or prospecting actually works. But I'll tell you, what they do in Texas, not sure it's going to work up here in Maine, right? And what they do in Jersey may or may not work with what's going on in Massachusetts. So you really have to sit and say, okay, what am I doing? How is my audience taking it in? Are they accepting it, or are they pushing back and saying, this is not the message I want to hear, right? So lead generation is definitely a science, but lead generation is also an art. You know, it's required that we pay attention. We have to watch what's working and what's not working. We're always inspecting what we expect, whether it's the people we work with, the clients we're working with, the co-brokes, or the lead generation that we're doing. We're always, always, always making sure that, is this working? And what works, what doesn't work, what's the return on investment? You know, how many of us reinvent the wheel? We all know the creativity triangle, right? Which way should that triangle be? Is it upside down, or is it sitting on a solid foundation? If it's sitting on a solid foundation, there's many, many agents at KW that have tried lead generation. We're going to take those and we're just going to look at them. We're going to see what's the plan, what's the message, what's the budget, what's the target audience, and does it work in my area? Am I seeing a return on investment? Am I getting the numbers I want, right? Any questions about the leads piece? There is a lot, and obviously the book has a lot, and I have all of 30 minutes to deliver. So what are your thoughts? Any questions, any thoughts from this specific section?
I've got a quick question about how long do you find in general it takes to discover if something works for you or something doesn't work for you when it comes to lead generation?
I'm very frugal. Actually, I'll use the word cheap. So I work really hard to not spend a lot of money when I'm experimenting. I'll know, especially with Facebook ads, I'll know relatively quickly if my Facebook ad is working. And that really comes down to the call to actions, right? What are the call to actions you're using, and how many responses are you getting? And if you're running it for a week and you have nothing, there may be something wrong with that ad, right? There may be something wrong with that conversation. And this dives right back to the core four, right? What does your business plan look like? How does your 411 look? What is that now business? How are you lead generating to it? What is their problem? The answer to a great ad is solving a person's problem. So what's the problem of a first-time home buyer? What's the problem of a move-up buyer? What's the problem of a downsizer? What's the problem of an investor? So when I'm building my ads, my ad is asking them the question, what is the problem and how can I solve it? And those are usually the ones that work the best.
The other thing, Tiffany, is if they're not tracking it, you're never going to know.
Right.
You're never going to know if you're not putting into your database, your data bank, how these people got to you, how they found you. And, you know, agents are often looking for that quick, easy close. And how am I going to get somebody to buy tomorrow? But a lot of the things we do in real estate take time. It is not instant return on investment, but they pay off because it's top of mind. You just need to stay top of mind and bring so much value, and tracking is everything, because if you're spending money and you don't know if it's working, that's because you're not putting the lead sources in. You're not tracking if people are coming in or they're not. If you are tracking and they're not coming in, there's your answer. You know something you're doing is not working, but it may not be working at this time.
Right. Well, and I always say, you know, talking to your database, if they're not thinking of buying or selling real estate in the next 6 months, what are you offering them? Right. And this is, again, where command comes into play, where you have those tags. I'm an avid kayaker. I love hiking. I love books. If I was in somebody's database, I should be tagged kayaker, book lover, and hiker. And if I was the agent nurturing me, anytime I saw an article that talked about one of those things, I would send a message to them. Because it's not just about the real estate transaction, it's about the relationship. The relationship is the conversation.
And
right. Go ahead.
The thought that came to mind too is, again, not reinventing the wheel,
Yep.
right? So how do we know if what we're doing is working or not working? Well, what's the plan that we're following? What were the results of the individuals that went before us, whose model we're following? Because we use their successes and of course their failures as guidelines so that we can know, are we expecting a return on investment at what point in time, at what frequency? Then we can have a great gauge as to what's happening within our world. Is it successful or not?
Absolutely. 100%. So this next section, I'm a numbers person. I love numbers. It's my favorite part of anything. It's a game to me. So this next section of listings is knowing the minimum number of seller listings you must list each month, right? We have the tools to do that. So, you know, in my coaching program, I know that in 2021, this is what my goals are, and this is what I need for listings and closings, right? In your business, there are calculators that, and we have them. If you don't have the calculator, talk to your leadership. You know, what is the number of seller listings you must list every month? So if you want to net $1 million, you've already done your economic model. So to net $1 million, you know you need X, Y, and Z. And then you back into the numbers. What does that look like? Here's the caveat to that, right? The market's never ending changing. Right now, what kind of market are we in, right? And 6 months from now, what kind of market will we be in? So even though we know that we need to list X, Y, and Z listings, whatever that number is, we also need to know what's going on in the market so that we are always hitting the number. Because it may be in order, like right now, it could be for every 17 conversations, I get one listing. 6 months from now, it may be for every 32 conversations, I get one listing because something happened with the market, right? So knowing those numbers are really important. And then once you do that, you actually have to go out and list them. And what's the number one priority to actually go out and list them? What's the thing you have to do? We started this conversation with this. What do you got to do?
Lead generate.
Thank you, Callie, to the rescue. So You got to know the number. You need to have urgency. You need to have persistence. You have to have tenacity. There's no excuses and there's no victim behavior, right? Woe is me. My neighbor took the listing because I have a neighborhood of 5 realtors and I didn't get that listing. So now I'm going to be sad and cry for 2 weeks. No. Next. I love the word next. It's my favorite word ever. Because if it's not now, if it's not this person, who's next, right? And those who coach with me, they know full aware. How do I get to 100 no's as quickly as possible? Because I know in those 100 no's, there's probably 2 deals that I'm going to get. If I'm only dialing 20 people a week and talking to 3, how long is it going to take for me to get to those 100 no's? And then getting the seller to accept the team's concept. So let's just talk about this. Let's be real. Why would a seller not want to work with a team? What are all the objections you're going to hear? Let's just get it out there.
It's confusing.
I think the team is actually work really well in our area. I think I can see even the high producers who was at the top, who owned the company, now switching back and accepting the team model, because with that kind of, everyone is trained the way he operates, and it doesn't matter who comes, the service will be the same. I think it's even more attractive. I honestly, first time I see that the seller doesn't like a team.
Yeah, and I will tell you, you understand the value proposition of a team. How many sellers out there do you hear though that says, if I don't want to talk to your team of 10, I just want one person to work with me, right? We hear that all the time. So to your point, Elena, like a lot of people think my clients will only work with me. Is that a true statement? No, because how many of our teams are really delivering high level service, right? So to Elena's point, she's talking about her value proposition. We have qualified specialists. You know, I have one person that is exclusively focused on marketing your house to every potential buyer out there. And what does that mean? That means that I'm out walking people through your house, telling them about all the awesomeness of your house and why they should buy it. So while that person's doing their job, I'm focused on getting your home sold. And then when I get that offer, I'm negotiating on your behalf while my team members are doing the other things. So I can exclusively work on that piece of it, right?
Also,
So,
Tiffany, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, just because what I learned yesterday from Mark was that, you know, the growing component, if we're able to document the systems and models that we're starting with as single agents and bring on that next hire so that they know exactly what, you know, what we expect them to do, will help in the end communicate that to new sellers that, you know, I'm training this person based on the models and systems that I've developed. So that sort of exponential but concrete sequential growth through our own.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk about that when we talk about the leverage.
And this is like, you always come to the conversation that whatever the people on the team, they deliver what they're supposed to be doing, and I never have to check on them. I know that they will be there, otherwise not on my team.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yeah. And honestly, I'll be completely honest with you. What's the story you're telling yourself in your head that you shouldn't be telling, because it's the stories in your head and now you're putting it out on, you're putting it in the universe and you're putting it on your clients, right? So be careful the story you're telling in your head. And then number 8, constantly market your seller listings for more leads. Tell me, and this is probably different, how many pieces of business should you get from one listing? And those in my coaching program, let somebody answer. I see Elena's number 2, right? So for every one listing, you should get 2 to 3 pieces of business. So in order to do that, what do you have to do?
Market your listing like crazy.
Market your listings, right?
And follow up with everything.
We'll follow up with everything, right? Do you have a checklist? Do you have a system? Do you have a process? Is it consistent? If it's not consistent, what happens to your business? Well, and let's really talk about what is the limiting belief right now with listings selling in 5 minutes? What is the limiting belief?
You don't have enough time to market.
You don't have enough
They-
time to market to get that listing is one. Lena?
And everybody think that we don't do anything. We just have to put it in MLS and it will sell.
Right.
And it might happen, but it's not right approach. You still need to have time to market to get the leads. Otherwise, you sell and this is it.
And what happens when the market shifts? Like we're starting to feel a little bit of Maine. It's starting just a little bit. It's not really shifted yet, but we're feeling it. What happens when the market shifts and you are out of practice, right? Now you have to rebuild those habits. And how long does it take to build a habit? Right? So absolutely. Any other thoughts on listings and like really understanding, you get a listing, you leverage the listing, you get them to buy in on team concept, and you just keep delivering. Any other thoughts around listings? Okay. Then we have leverage. And Callie talked to this point a little bit, right? So number one, I don't have time to manage my business as it is now. How am I ever going to get good at hiring people and doing the education around that, right? What are the tools that we have right now? What's the one, it used to be called one thing, now it's called another, for those that have been around for a while. What do we have at KW that really coaches and trains us on how to build a great team? Career visioning. And if you've done more than 6 transactions and you're thinking that even if you just want to hire leverage and you'll always be a solo agent, but you want an admin to help you, you should be thinking about career visioning. And then after you take career visioning, you practice it on everyone. I was listening to Ben Kinney's Win, Make, Give podcast this morning, and they're talking about talent. The one thing he said, he does the conversation with every single person he meets every single day. There's not a day that goes by that he's not having a conversation around someone's life story. And those who have taken career visioning, they know, right? So they talk about life story. They talk about what are your future goals? Like there are people who are building these teams and building this net a million mindset. Every person they talk to, is this person a fit for my team? Is there a future job position that I could put them in, right? This is my favorite. When you look at hiring, are you hiring capacity or are you hiring cul-de-sac, right? So capacity is people, those people, they do their job really well now and they have the capacity as your business grows, they're going to keep growing and growing and they're going to make things happen, right? Then you have cul-de-sac. They're really great at what they're doing now. And they either do not have the desire to grow anymore or they do not have the ability to grow anymore. So when you're looking at your business is always going to grow, where should you live in when you hire? What group? The capacity or cul-de-sac?
Capacity.
Absolutely. Because level 1 of the job is what they're doing right now. Level 2 of the job is what the job's going to entail in the future, right? Because the one constant in anything and real estate is change. So achieving accountability to the right standards. Someone tell me how would they describe standards?
Standard is the minimum bar by which we measure things, minimum.
Right. So when we look at our standards, if we're working with buyers and sellers, what is the standard that the buyer and seller desires to hold us to in delivering service to them, right? So that to me is the minimum bar, is what is the expectation of our clients? That is the standard. And then how do we one up that? How do we make that better, right? So standards define who we are. And then business standards define who we are, right? So when you're looking at this leverage piece and you're looking at hiring, what do our customers want? What are our standards? And when we look at the standards, how do we deliver that standard? It's the why, the when, the where, and the who, right? Then that defines the system and process. Because people come and go, how you run your business should never, right? So your systems and your processes are built based on what your standards of business are. Here's a cheat. If you haven't hired your first person yet, have them build your standards, and then have them build how-tos, and then have them build the how you track. And when you do that, you have someone else who just spent all the time building your operations manual, and it saves you the time, and you could be lead generating instead of doing administrative tasks. So definitely figure out what the leverage looks like to make things happen.
That is actually great thought, because I thought I need to put everything in the, I don't have this system in place. I know what I'm doing, but it's not documented. So it's a great thought to hire a person to do the operation manual.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. Good.
Yeah. So, and I'll use my coaching program as an example. I have my standards that I desire my coaching program to live to. And I just hired my first administrative support person. And before I did that, I had a list of, these are all the things that I want them to do. And we meet once a week. I record via Zoom what the things are that we're talking about. At the end of the week, they come back with all of the steps to make it happen. So when that person is no longer part of my team, or they move up, whatever the story is, I just move that whole operations manual to the next person. And that next person is going to one up and one up and one up and one up, right? Because we hire capacity, and that's how you grow. And then the only other thing around achieving the accountability is make sure you're having weekly appointments. You know, what's the specific job descriptions? What are the specific goals? And then to Brooke started the conversation with Cash Talks. I remember Cash Talks back in 2013, 2014. They were a big thing back then. You know, are they delivering based on the agreement that you made when you went through creating the standards of how they were going to operate? And then create teamwork with rock and roll, right? And whenever you bring on a new hire, well, first off, let's just say you're an individual right now, right? And then you bring on a new hire, now you're a group. And then you start jiving and things are working really right. The goals are articulated. Everybody's doing their job. Each team member is working together. So now you're a team. And then you hire somebody else. And you have to go back to that group mindset, because now you all have to figure out how to work together, right? Rock and roll. You got to learn how to work together. And I say that's probably the hardest part of this whole leverage thing, is bringing in that new person and knowing that there's going to be a period of time that you're going to have to add value and trust to one another so things operate. And, you know, if you're on leadership, that happens very regularly because we're always growing. And as you're a newer agent going from individual with the admin, buyer agent, and all the hires, you're constantly going to be adding a person. So you need to pay attention to, are you guys jiving? And if you're not, how do you make yourselves jive? And the final one is combining quality service with quantity service, right? And honestly, the answer to that is, number one, it's great communication. That's a no, like there needs to be great communication with us and great communication with our clients. And when you have a set standard and a set system and everybody's following it, there's no question that you can move quality into quantity, because everybody is delivering the same service and you've leveraged yourself to make that happen. That was a lot, but it's all really important. So what did you hear? What questions do you guys have?
Yeah, I don't have a question, but that was a very good thought. Do not spend your time to put in the manuals but hire the person to do that. And I think that will be, it's actually, I never thought about it, but because the whole series for me, I'm trying to move from one person operation and hire somebody because it's getting too much.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you walked away with how do you leverage the building of your systems and processes, that's a beautiful thing. Because then, you know, you could focus on being the CEO of your company and lead generating to the level that you desire to lead generate for the money you desire. I mean, it's how it all comes. What else did you hear?
I'd like to know what percentage of your listings you actually sell as a result of your own marketing efforts via, say, social media, emails, mailings, etc. Not you necessarily, but I mean, what do you expect? I mean, have you measured that your activity in terms of marketing outside of the MLS system?
In my opinion, the question, I would rephrase the question to be, how do I get those other two pieces of business, right? It may be that you get both sides of a transaction, or it may be you did an open house, 22 people showed up and you got 3 listings from those 22 people. So I would probably look at it more along the lines of how is that marketing delivering more business and not necessarily selling that specific listing, especially.
Well, but don't clients want results? I mean, they don't want, the clients aren't interested in you getting 3 pieces of business. They want you to sell their house.
Right. But do you have to sell their house, or can a co-broke sell your house?
Well, but I'm asking you about, well, yeah, co-broke can sell your house, but that would not be as a result of your own marketing efforts.
Right.
Probably.
Maybe.
But one of the conversations too, Randy, is that, you know, the marketing that we do is all encompassing. So when I have a listing, part of my job is to capture buyers for other listings, and other listings know that. And so that's part of the conversation we have with them is, hey, listen, Randy, I'm going to host an open house at your house. Likely, you know, stats say that it's 3 to 5% chance that it's sell at that open house. The reality is I'm going to do that so that we can capture more buyers, because I do that at all my listings. And hopefully I'll grab a buyer at one of the other listings that would be appropriate for your house. So it's just a conversation around where those things happen. And extricating the MLS data from that is really challenging to figure out which ones sell from what, even with really, really good tracking. Not to say we shouldn't do it, just that to try to extricate MLS as a component of that is, I don't know how you could do that and get a reasonable number.
Right.
And I think with the when I have people who train with me, and everybody is asking, do I have a viable lead from Facebook? Don't forget about that. Social media, it's not the tool to directly to sell the property. It's just the tool to invite as much as possible people to the property and make aware that property is offered for sale. And maybe you didn't sell directly from the Facebook, but I have situation when buyers see the ad on the Facebook and they call their buyer agent and say, like, I saw the house, let's go see it. And that works too.
And very much to Mark's point, and this is where consistency and standards come into play. If every single one of my listings goes out on social media, and every single one of my listings gets a YouTube video, and every single one of my listings gets whatever all those items are, many of the buyers are going to see a post that I put on social media and not call me and call that other agent. So that's the other piece of the conversation that I would have. Exactly what Alina, my goal, I'm a marketing expert. I'm going to market your house, and who brings in the buyer? As long as your property sells for the terms that you desire, that is the most important part of it. So I would have that conversation.
Well, that's the question that I'm asking. What active steps do you take to market a client's house out? I mean, that will deliver the results they expect. I mean, isn't the MLA, I mean, how are you marketing it to get the results that they want?
So I obviously MLS, which syndicates to the 800 websites, right? And then my personal marketing is aerial video, as long as it works. I do videos on YouTube. I do social media marketing. I send out, every time I get a new listing, I send it out to everyone in my database, regardless of what area they are. I also do a campaign for that specific listing to get specific buyers for that campaign. And that in itself, that's a very tangible number that you could say, I did this campaign. We had 5,220 views, of which I got 27 leads that I've contacted to talk about your property. So that would be the big tangible one.
What's the campaign? That's interesting. I don't know about that. Tell me about the campaign.
So that's Facebook ads.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna just jump in really quickly, and really great question, Randy. You know, the thing is that's part of your value proposition. And when you're creating your value proposition, you're going to list out what your key, like why people work with you, listings, buyers, and why are people attracted to you in your business. So Tiffany, I think your list is absolutely amazing and it resonates with a lot of people. But if you're not going to do campaigns, Randy, don't add that to your list, because the worst thing we could do here in this situation is overpromise something and underdeliver it to your client, where your value proposition now is diminished. So what I would encourage you to do is write down what your value proposition is, Randy, as a listing agent to your clients, and figure out how do you implement those things at a high level.
Well, here's my unique selling proposition. It's very simple. I sell every listing I take, and I've done that for the last 3 years.
That's amazing. That is an amazing stat, an amazing conversion.
So that's I keep it very simple.
Yeah, but then the question can be, how many listings there?
You know, my first duty is to the client that whose house I'm trying to sell.
Right.
I put that above getting other business for myself. Maybe that's not very smart, but I feel like I have an obligation to sell somebody's house for top dollar and sell it fast for them, because that's why they hire me.
You know, Randy, that's a great point. And so I just threw the Spark 6 value proposition, and this workbook from Ignite may just help you get some clarity on some of those things as well to work through. This is the third session in a row. We've gone a little bit over, so I want to be so careful with the time. Does anybody have any last one ahas? Or Jen, do you have anything you want to add before we thank Tiffany and wrap this up for today?
You know what? Tiffany did such a great job. There are so many things I wanted to jump in there and add to, but you know what? This has been such a great conversation, and we'll just carry this over to next week and finish our session strong next week, starting on Monday, and then see you guys again to finish this up. Brooke and I will be finishing up the session with you on Wednesday. So that's it, guys. Tiffany, where are you? There you are. Fabulous job as always. Your presentation was spot on. We're going to be connecting with you about that after. Mark, thanks for always chipping in and commenting. And Brooke, great job. So we'll see you guys Monday. Have a fabulous weekend, and see you then.
Have an awesome weekend.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.